Michael Celso. Author's note. This book was not written from a place of certainty, but from the quiet trenches of becoming, from the raw, trembling edge between who I once was and who I could no longer continue to be. It grew out of the nights where silence felt unbearable, where the weight of my own awareness pressed like gravity against the edges of my sanity, and where every attempt to numb or escape only brought me closer to the truth I feared most. That the void I was running from was not emptiness, but everything I had abandoned in myself. For years, I mistook sensitivity for weakness, depth for defect, and the ache inside me for evidence of brokenness. Like many, I sought refuge in distraction, in addiction, in the frantic noise of doing anything to avoid the stillness where my pain lived. It was easier to fracture than to feel, easier to flee than to face the inner regions of the self that whispered truths I was not ready to hear. This book is not a story of collapse. It is a story of reclamation, of descending into the interior world and discovering that what appears as darkness is often just unintegrated light. That what seems like emptiness is actually the fertile soil of potential, and that the parts of us we fear most are often the pieces we need to bring home. If you have ever felt too much, asked too deeply, sensed too clearly, or carried an unseen inner war, this work is for you. It is for the sensitive and the seekers, the ones who have been told they are too intense, too emotional, too aware, and yet could never turn down the volume on existence. It is for the souls who do not drown because they are weak, but because they see the ocean for what it is and feel every wave. Within these pages, I did not set out to diagnose pain. I set out to dignify it, to offer language to experiences that are often lived in silence, to validate the ones who wander not because they are lost, but because their soul refuses to settle for half-truths. This is not a manual, not a doctrine, not a prescription. It is a mirror, a lantern, and, if you choose, a key. If at any moment you feel accompanied by these words, if something in you exhales in recognition, know this: you are not alone in this labyrinth. There is no weakness in feeling deeply, no failure in unraveling, and no shame in searching for yourself in the places the world taught you to fear. My hope is not that you agree with every page, but that somewhere in these pages you remember yourself. Welcome to the void, not as absence, but as origin, not as darkness, but as invitation. May you walk through it not to escape who you were, but to reclaim who you have always been. Michael Celso, Front Matter. For too long, we have been told that our sensitivity is a weakness, our introspection a burden, and our struggles with addiction or trauma are marks of inherent brokenness. I have walked this path, intimately familiar with the echoing void that can feel both terrifying and seductive, with the fragmented sense of self that makes genuine connection feel like a distant dream, and with the relentless search for solace in all the wrong places. This book is born from that journey, from the profound realization that what we have been taught to pathologize is, in truth, the very crucible from which our deepest wisdom and most authentic self can emerge. We will venture beyond the sterile language of diagnosis to explore the soul's language, the body's wisdom, and the mind's incredible capacity for transformation. We will look at addiction not as a moral failing, but as a desperate, albeit misguided, attempt to soothe an intensely felt inner world. We will examine trauma not as a permanent scar, but as a profound shattering that, when tended with care, can reveal the intricate mosaic of our true being. Drawing from the wells of psychology, neuroscience, and spiritual mysticism, this book offers a compassionate reframing, inviting you to see your past struggles not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as the very pathways to your awakening. It is an invitation to move from the shadows of fragmentation into the radiant light of integrated wholeness, to embrace the void not as an absence, but as the fertile ground of your own becoming. This is not just a book, it is a map, a guide, and a fellow traveler's hand, reaching out to walk with you towards a life of profound meaning and authentic presence. Within the quiet chambers of the highly sensitive, introspective soul, there often resides a profound sense of otherness. This can manifest as a deep-seated feeling of fragmentation, as if one is a collection of disparate parts rather than a cohesive whole. For many, this internal landscape has led to a reliance on addiction or constant distraction, not out of a desire for self-destruction, but as a misguided attempt to numb an intensity of awareness that feels overwhelming, to fill a void that seems to swallow all light. These coping mechanisms, born from a deep need for relief and solace, can often obscure the very essence of who we are, leaving us feeling lost in a labyrinth of our own making. This book is a response to that longing for understanding, a gentle counter-narrative to the stories of brokenness we've been told. It is for those who suspect that their sensitivity is not a flaw but a gift, their introspection not a luxury but a necessity. We will journey together into the heart of this perceived fragmentation, exploring how experiences of addiction and trauma, while deeply painful, can paradoxically serve as powerful catalysts for profound healing and self-discovery. We will venture beyond conventional psychological frameworks to embrace the wisdom held within the body, the intricate dance of the brain, and the timeless insights of spiritual traditions. Our exploration will reframe addiction not as a disease of weakness, but as a complex expression of a soul seeking connection, meaning, or respite from an unbearable inner reality. Trauma will be understood not as an indelible mark of damage, but as a shattering event that, with careful attention, can reveal the intricate, resilient patterns of our being. We will illuminate the subtle yet persistent call of the void, not as a place of emptiness, but as the primordial ground of potential and the ultimate source of our wholeness. This book is an invitation to embrace the entirety of your experience, to reclaim the scattered pieces of yourself, and to discover the radiant, integrated being that has been present all along, waiting to be awakened. Prepare to embark on a journey of profound self-recognition, where your deepest wounds become the very doorways to your most authentic and purposeful life.